That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
All right, guys, let's continue to talk about these rookies just because I truly think that this is probably the best rookie class that we've seen since I don't know when, because if we look at the wide receivers, they look like they are probably the best wide receiver class of all time. Yes, even better than the 2014 class. And then at the running back position, yes, it's not exactly what we thought it was going to be right away, but still a lot of these guys have came out and showed great flashes of what they could be. They really just need to be able to put it together. So it's a little bit too early to tell with the running backs, but we still love the potential with all of these guys. And let's dive into our #1 running back after the NFL draft, which was Clyde Edwards-HELAIRE, and let's really see what he's been able to do so far in 2020 and if we think we should be buying him or selling him. So if we look at Clyde Edwards-HELAIRE and his prospect profile coming into the NFL, yes, this was a running back that we weren't necessarily extremely excited about coming into the NFL draft. He did not really provide us the athleticism that popped off the page, and he had decent size, but nothing that was really going to lock him into 3-down usage. But what was great about Clyde Edwards-HELAIRE was actually his ability to catch the ball out of his backfield, which really made him look like he was going to be a player that had a very high floor, but not necessarily that elite level ceiling. Then he landed in Kansas City. Then we all, including myself, fell head over heels for the running back just because that spot was so desirable. Really, there was nobody there to take touches away from Clyde Edwards-HELAIRE. He was going to be playing in the best offense in football. And really, yes, I know that right now it looks absolutely horrendous for Clyde Edwards-HELAIRE. The last 2 weeks, Clyde has split that backfield almost 50-50 with Le'Veon Bell, and CEH is only averaging about 7 carries a game, 2 receptions a game. Yes, he's having some kind of decent efficiency with it, with almost 5 yards per carry. Still, that's not something we're really going to be able to rely on putting in our fantasy football lineup just because he doesn't have the volume, just because he's not really getting those goal line works consistently. So when we are projecting him for the rest of 2020, I actually think that Clyde Edwards-HELAIRE is only maybe a low-end running back too, but let's ignore that. Let's try to look at what we think of Clyde Edwards-HELAIRE and what he showed us before Le'Veon Bell came in and try to see if we can project him long-term with that. So if we look at Clyde Edwards-HELAIRE in the games that Le'Veon Bell was not on this Kansas City Chiefs roster, we actually saw Clyde Edwards-HELAIRE average almost 18 carries, 3.5 receptions, 84 rushing yards, and almost 30 receiving yards a game. Now, these are great numbers, but I know not everyone's going to really have some context behind this. So let me go through and let me highlight how many running backs have been able to accomplish this since 1980. So the past 30 years, how many rookie running backs were able to go out and rush for at least 80 yards a game and have at least 25 receptions a game? I'm sorry, obviously not receptions, receiving yards a game. And this is the list. There's 8 players. I'm not even going to go through all of them. Let's just highlight the key guys. Marshall Faulk, Eric Dickerson, Kareem Hunt, and Saquon Barkley. So I mean, he is getting put in an elite class of running back. And what's not only great about that, if we look at his overall profile, he is going to be in that situation without Le'Veon Bell for the majority of the next 5 years. I mean, we know that what's great about Clyde Edwards-HELAIRE being selected in the first round is he actually has that 5th-year option for the Kansas City Chiefs, where we really don't expect his situation to be changing that much. So if we try to project him in 2021 and beyond, I personally think that this offseason, if we see the Kansas City Chiefs move on from Le'Veon Bell, which I'm assuming 99% of us think is going to happen, Clyde Edwards-HELAIRE for myself is going to be a top 5 dynasty running back. We can make the argument that he would be a top 5 dynasty startup player in general, obviously not including Superflex, just because he does project to be a running back 1. And I know the one concerning thing so far before we got Le'Veon Bell in this offense was that Clyde Edwards-HELAIRE was just not seeing the overall touchdown equity that was going to make us overly excited about his ceiling in fantasy football, just because when he was getting those goal line looks, he was not really able to convert. But I've said this so many times, at least on the Fantasy Flock Network, where we were trying to evaluate Clyde Edwards-HELAIRE before Le'Veon Bell was coming into this offense. It was a lot more telling that Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs were willing to give Clyde Edwards-HELAIRE the opportunity at the goal line in the first place, rather than just him not being able to convert. Because we know when you are getting those carries at the goal line, really the running back is such a small part of it, of actually being able to punch the ball in. The majority of it is the play call, and on top of that, the offensive line play. I mean, how many times do we see a carry at the goal line result in a touchdown where the running back literally walks in untouched? Like, it looks like I could go out there and do it. So when we are projecting him in 2021, I think that we are going to be looking at Clyde Edwards-Helaire as one of the running backs that has that receiving floor. And on top of that, he is going to be able to get the looks in the red zone. That is going to boost him from being a running back 2 to a high-end running back 1, just because we know the touchdown equity in this Kansas City Chiefs offense is so worth it when they have Patrick Mahomes tied up. And just, this is going to be the best offense in the NFL for probably the next decade. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be the workhorse running back for this offense for the next 5 years. So yes, it is going to be frustrating seeing him split work with Le'Veon Bell for the rest of the 2020 season. But what I am advising with Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not to do it right now, just because I don't think people really have understood what role Le'Veon Bell is going to have in this offense. But wait about 2 or 3 weeks until really everyone looks at Clyde Edwards-Helaire as a secondary option for their fantasy football rosters. Then you can go out there and try to trade maybe a DeAndre Swift for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, try to trade a Jonathan Taylor, because when we are projecting all these running backs for the long term, I think clearly CEH is still my favorite running back from this draft class. Now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed the video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, if y'all did, please make sure you go down there, drop a like on the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, that's all I got for y'all, and have a great day, guys.